Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is trans, and it opens up trans people to by not recognizing them.
Wow, you're saying that I'm
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
denying that
dangerous.
trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So
pregnant.
you are denying that trans people exist?
And that, Ms. Harley, the Dobbs decision, as I understand it, I've read it now a number of times, it gives to voters, they want to impose on the entire country a one-size-fits-all rule. They want to impose from the top down. The same position taken by North Korea and China, other notable of human rights.
男性でも妊娠はできます。こんなことを言う人でも大学教授になれるみたいですよ。こんにちは皆さん。エリタです。今回の動画なんですけど、フェミニスト、LGBT 活動家、兼大学教授をやっている女性が男性も妊娠できると上議会で発言した際に彼女に対して質問している場面ですね。中絶数が出生数よりも多い州もあるっていう中絶問題が結構話題に上がるアメリカでは、中絶は出産直前にしてもにならないっていう意見を持ってる左翼の議員も結構いるみたいですね。ではこの討論の様子を翻訳しましたので一緒に見ていきましょう。どうぞ。
Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is trans, and it opens up trans people to by not recognizing them.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So
pregnant.
you are denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to, is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or are they also treated like this, where
No,
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good time in my class. You should join.
I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Ms. Matsky, let me ask you something. So you provide health care to women free of charge, right? Is that right?
Absolutely.
You've done this for many years.
Yep.
You have licensed medical professionals at your pregnancy care centers. Is that right?
That is correct.
And what are some of the resources that you provide for women who come to you in a time of need?
So,
just give us you talked about it in your written testimony, but just give us a sense of it.
So we have 3 OBGYN doctors, 5 registered nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, phlebotomists, medical assistants, and we provide prenatal care, OBGYN care. We provide pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, well woman visits, breast exams. We provide a wide range of medical services, yes.
So what do you think about the DC politicians now saying that your clinic and the other 3,000 pregnancy care centers around this country are fake medical clinics? For instance, Senator Warren has said, it's now more important than ever to crack down on so-called crisis pregnancy centers that mislead and deceive patients. Senator Menendez, crisis pregnancy centers jeopardize women's health and well-being, all while elevating unproven theories about birth control. Senator Warner wrote to Google asking them to censor search results for care centers like yours, saying, directing women to fake clinics that traffic in misinformation is dangerous to women's health and undermines the integrity of Google's search results. Do you run a fake clinic? I mean, is that what's happening here? You don't provide actual medical care to actual women?
We absolutely do not run a fake clinic, and we have a full medical staff. Like I said, many of our medical professionals have experienced abortion for themselves, including our OBGYN doctor who used to perform abortions. So our entire medical staff is there for women, whether they choose abortion and walk out the door or whether they choose life for their baby, and we support them for years after that.
Do you think there ought to be an ideological test to be able to get medical care in this country? I mean, should we say to women, well, you have to agree with the DC Democrats' ideology, otherwise you can't go get medical care? Or maybe for you and the physicians who work at your pregnancy care center or the thousands of others across the country, should we impose an ideological test on them and say that, well, you have to agree with the DC Democrats' position on abortion or you can't provide medical care to women? Should we do that in this country?
Absolutely not.
I just want to ask in my few remaining seconds here, Ms. Harley, the Dobbs decision, as I understand it, I've read it now a number of times, it gives to voters the decision as to what laws should be pertaining to life and pertaining to abortion in all 50 states and other jurisdictions around the country. I'm just curious, do you know what percentage of voters in this country support the DC Democrats' position that they want to impose on the entire country, a one-size-fits-all rule they want to impose from the top down? Do you know what percentage of voters support their position, which is also, by the way, the same position taken by North Korea and China, other notable of human rights? Do you know what percentage it is?
I know that nearly 90% of Americans oppose abortion in the third trimester. The number that would support abortion up to the moment of birth has to be minuscule. It's a horrific policy.
Yeah, I mean, based on the most recent Harvard poll that was just released just a few days ago, it's less than 10% of voters say that they would support abortion into the final month of pregnancy, and yet that is the law that the DC politicians want to impose on every voter in America, to take this away from the people, take it away from my state, take it away from all the other states and the voters in the states, but impose this law uniformly that is not supported by 90% of the American people. Talk about anti-democratic. At the same time, they want to shut down 3,000 pregnancy care centers all around this country. That's radical. Thank you for being here.
頼むぜ。いや、皆さん動画どうでしたか？個人的に冒頭の女性の感じを見ると、授業中でも生徒の意見を拒否して話を進める感じに見えますけど、皆さんはどう感じました？現在アメリカには16週目以降の胎児を中絶することを禁止するっていう法律があるみたいなんですね。ですが左翼の政治家たちは出産直前までの中絶を許可するという残虐なものに変えようとしてるみたいですね。出産直前までってその時点ですでに胎児の体はほぼ出来上がっていて、個人的に人間というのにふさわしいと思うので、それは立派なでは心臓が鳴った瞬間からそれはもう人間だっていう声がアメリカでは多いようですけど、元胎児の皆さんはどの時点から人間って感じていたかコメント欄でよかったら教えてください。では現地の声いくつか紹介していきますね。The fact that she's allowed to teach other human beings is scary. If she acts this way towards a senator, can you imagine how she's with her students? Can we bring back normal educated people that know facts? She's the reason why our young people can't think for themselves. Wow. It must be exhausting being a man with common sense in government today. When a professor believes men can't have babies, they need their rights as a professor removed and banned from teaching. 彼女のような人に授業を教わる生徒たちを心配する声や、男性の大人な態度を称賛する声がほとんどでしたね。男性と女性は違うものっていう事実さえ議会で話し合わなければならないアメリカの状況は少し悲しいって思いましたね。日本にこの考え方が入ってこないように僕は願うばかりです。新チャンネルの頼むぜアメリカではこのようなマジかよっていう欧米のニュースを楽しく紹介しています。12月からブルックリン東京は無期限の休止。新チャンネルの頼むぜアメリカのみでの配信となりますので、登録まだの方はぜひ概要欄から飛べるんでよろしくお願いします。では良い一日を。